Minister Deetra Poindexter, but you can call me Dr. P. That's fine with me. I believe everybody, we are among family, so we can just keep it on the down low. So again, thank you for coming out. Thank you for responding either to the Facebook page or the next door page, or however you heard it from your neighbors or anything like that. I thank you so very much. I'm hoping that we'll get more people to come in because of the response that I received. I started this movement, this gathering, off of me having an issue in my own subdivision. And I'm quite sure y'all is the same way. You're here because you got issues going on in your own HOA subdivision. So I didn't want to be just about talk. I wanted to bring productive people here so that we know that we're not here just to talk among ourselves, but we have people here that can make a difference, that will hear our voices and put it in, hopefully into a amended bylaw, amended bill, so it can get passed. So today, without hesitation, I'm going to introduce our two speakers that we have today. On my right hand, I have State Representative Ms. Regina Lewis Ward, and she is pushing a bill, a HOA bill, so she actually working on a bill. And for her to serve the people, she got to hear from the people. And then to my left, I have Mr. Michael. He is here as well. He already went through a HOA, taken it to court, and he had won his case. So now he's a big advocate for HOAs. As y'all come in, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please sign in. Please print your name, full name, email address, and phone number. So Michael is here as well to give us some of those tips, and then also provide information from the state representative what they need to do at the Capitol. Okay? So without any ado, I'm going to go ahead and have State Representative Lewis Ward to present herself and the bill.
So good afternoon, everyone. So thank you so much for coming out. And like Ms. Poindexter said, I serve parts of Stockbridge, Henry County, and DeKalb County. That's where they tell me I serve. But my work, of course, represents everybody across the state. And like Ms. Poindexter said, you probably had some issue in the past or currently going through something with your HOA, which is why this meeting is important to you. And I want to also say that I personally had an issue with my HOA, which is what got me involved. Long story short, during COVID, I had a shutter, fell off one of the windows, didn't get it put back up. The fines kept accumulating even during COVID. And at a point, I asked for a special meeting to reduce the fines. They agreed to have the meeting. We had the meeting. They did reduce the fines, and they were supposed to notify me of a date to pay the reduced fines by. They sent the letter to me after the date. So for example, if I had to pay by February the 1st, they didn't mail the letter till like February 15th. So there was no way that I could meet that February 1st deadline. They took me to court, and I countersued, and I was successful in not having to pay on. It came to something like $1,600 for a $49 fine, for a $49 shutter, right? And it wasn't a point for me not having to pay for the shutter falling. It was the amount that had accumulated over that time. And so I was successful in doing that. And with that, I'm saying that sometimes your HOAs can be aggressive. Sometimes they can go rogue. But if you fight back and you let them know that, no, you can't do this, it's not legal to do this, sometimes the judge will side with you, as you've seen with the case that happened in your situation, and also in mine. I had contacted an attorney, and he wanted $5,000 just to craft a letter, and I'm like, $500 to craft a letter. And I said, no way, I'm paying you $500 to write a letter when I can write my own letter and go and stand and defend myself. So what's happening now at the Capitol? Last session, I introduced the bill HB 512. And what HB 512 does is three things. The first thing it does is requires your HOA to offer you some type of litigation through arbitration or mediation before they can impose foreclosure on your property. And I don't know if you know, but if you have assessed values of $2,000, they can start the foreclosure process on your property. So before they can do that, this bill requires them to sit down with you, either be with an arbitrator or a mediator, and work something out with you. It also requires, this bill also requires, the HOA to notify you annually of what your balance is. If you're in good standing, you have to get a letter that says you're in good standing January 1st of each year. Because what I've been hearing is that in the middle of the year, HOA will say, oh, you owe fines for the last 3 years. And you were never notified about those fines. So this bill requires you to do that. The third thing that this bill does, if you want to sell your property, the attorneys need what they call a closing letter. And what that closing letter basically says is that you're in good standing and you're okay to close the property without any encumbrances on it. The attorneys ask the HOA for that bill, for that letter, but the HOA sends that cost over to the homeowner. And that cost can be anywhere from $10, we've seen up to $400. So we're trying to limit the cap on those fees for that closing letter to $250. There was a bill, I believe, don't quote me, either in 2017 or 2018, that went all the way to the governor's desk. And I think the cap on that legislation was $350, and the government said it was too high. So we came back, and this bill is $250 as far as the cap goes. So what do we need? We need you to stay involved. We need, when there's a hearing or a committee meeting, to come down and speak out. We need you to write letters. Don't just write one letter. Flood us with letters, okay? There was a bill last year, I don't know the number. I got over 1,000 emails just on this one bill, okay? Do it until you break the internet. Just keep sending letters, keep sending letters. And like that gets the attention of the legislators. They know the community is paying attention. They know this issue is important to the community. So I'm here to, so where's my bill now? 512, at the end of last session, went all the way to rules. It went through committee, it went through subcommittee, and it went to rules. What happens after rules, it goes to the floor. So it never made it to the floor. So this year, it has to go back to committee, and then hopefully committee will pass it out again to rules. I'm going to propose, after reading what some of the legislation that you had wanted, I'm going to ask for a sub, which means I'm going to try to amend mine to include some of the things that you and Senator Brass had spoke about on the House side, and which will give it a little bit more teeth. And hopefully, I'll get bipartisan support in it as well. And that's very important to have bipartisan support. On my bill, it was myself and two chairmen from the other party who had signed my bill. That's the reason why I made it as far as it did, because of the support that I had. Hopefully, they will agree again to sign. It's election year, so we don't know what's gonna happen, right? So hopefully they will agree again to sign off when it goes to committee. So I'm here for any questions, and yes, sir.
I like what you're saying, Ms. Ward, and I'm glad you said that.
Can you speak up? Can you speak up?
I'm glad, oh, I'm sorry. My name is John Williams. I am a resident of O'Hara Village, the subdivision just down the street. Deetra and I, a few of the people here, we've been on this road for about a year or so, fighting our HOA. But I was glad to hear that possibly you can amend that bill. I like what you're doing administratively in terms of litigation before mediation, notifying the homeowners of a balance. All of that's happening to us. But I would like the bill to be amended for HOA presidents and anyone who's holding those positions on the board. Because in our situation, we found out later that we're dealing with a convicted felon who's running our HOA. So we need to put some teeth into that bill to keep these people from getting into those type of positions with a criminal record for over 40 years. And then they make their way onto the board, and it's like hitting the lottery when they took over our HOA. So that's what I like to see done.
So that's very interesting. Each subdivision has their own bylaws and covenants,
Right.
and you work on that internally within your subdivision. However, I don't know if you're aware, and this is not to discourage you, this is just facts, that you can run for elected office being a convicted felon. Right? So,
We got one in there.
So, I would suggest inside your own community to try to push that maybe that there's a background check
Yeah, background.
on anyone that's running for office within your covenant. Because there's a certain number of people in each bylaws that can call a meeting and ask for different changes inside your own bylaws.
Right.
And that could be one of the things that you add to your bylaws.
That's what we're working on
Yeah.
now, because again, if I suddenly find out that the person that self-appointed themselves to be the president, and now it's like the fox garden in-house, there's no control over who's watching, and when we've asked, let us see the records, let us see the books. You can't see that, and Dr. D and I have talked about that. I just retired 30 years of federal service. They do a 5-liner on you, the Social Security, where you live and all that. When you ask to work for those people, and when that report comes back, they'll tell you, no, you're not a fit for us. And that's the situation we're dealing with our HOA. I told Dr. Poindexter she could even get a job as a dog catcher. So that's what we're dealing with now, and we're pushing forward. We're not backing up, we're pushing forward.
Who is your management company?
They don't have a management.
We have lawyers.
So the self-manager sounds like you didn't have a lawyer.
We have a lawyer who I believe is drinking the same Kool-Aid that our president is, because he gets $7,000 a month for doing nothing.
A year.
A month.
A month.
Oh,
It was a month.
$7 grand a month?
$7 grand a month.
It's definitely not normal.
I think we're in the wrong profession,
Yeah,
right?
no. That's definitely not a normal retainer. That's not a normal retainer. I'm in contact with dozens of people on the board and I know their prices, that's not normal.
That's
Miss
Elena
Jones.
Jones.
Oh, the lawyers for the HOA, is, Ms. Fisher. Ms. Fisher is the, lawyer that is assigned to O'Hara Village to oversee any issue that's going on. So our president will call Ms. Lisa Fisher and let her know, hey, I got a resident that's out of compliance. Like you said, your shelter is gone, and I noticed that it's not been put back up in 30 days. I want you to send her a letter. And then they'll go ahead and do what she asked them to do. No question asked or anything. They don't say, hey, did you try to talk to the lady? Are you in a finance hardship that you can't get it up or whatever? You just need somebody to come and just mill it back up again.
Have you really dug into your CCRs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we dug into it, but it's not open enough where we can understand the language. Meaning that you can't have this, you can't have that, you can't do this. It's just a standard CCR that you could pull up and look at. But it has not been defined to our community like you said before.
But in terms of how you can change it, hold a meeting, is that
That's
included?
Yes, that is included, but we have not had one. Right.
It's so loosely written that she changed it to suit her needs. And that's to prevent us from looking at the financial records. What is she doing on a month-to-month basis with our funds? This has been going on for 12 years. I became involved after I got back in 2011. So I started asking.
Okay, no, go ahead.
15 years. But anyway, it's deep.
Okay, we have another question.
And I'll share something funny with you. When my HOA decided to sue me for my shutter, they presented our CCRs, and my name, I was one of the signers on the CCR.
A full circle.
Yes, full circle, because I had been on the board years
Right.
ago, and they had never changed anything. Yeah, so that was funny. Yes, who else has a
Now,
question?
Mr.
Yes, sir.
Funny.
Mr. Funny, how are
Hello,
you?
how are you?
I'm good. I got a question. In your bill, I don't know if it's feasible or not. Is it possible to have whoever's the president just run for a certain amount of years, as opposed to like her situation? It's been there for 13 years. They've been going through this problem. So I want to know if in your bill, if you can put like term limits,
Term limits.
like staggered, like everybody doesn't have to go at the same
Sure,
time, but.
sure. I can, talk to, the supporters at the Capitol and see if they would, that's something they would include, but I think more so that would have more teeth within the community.
Yeah.
Because it varies so widely.
They all
across-
keep
across
coming
the
back,
state.
you know, the fixed people, they all keep coming back, rotating.
Yeah, root 'em out.
Yeah.
If I can interject on that, that's come up a lot, and I would go back to what you said about working it in with your community, because if it's a statewide thing, there's so many HOAs that have like 3 or 4 homes. So if that was something that was implemented at the state level, have to have an exception, like if your community is less than 50 homes, you're exempt, but yeah.
Right.
That is needed, definitely in some communities, because people have been out 20, 30 years, which is crazy.
Yeah, they keep coming back,
Yeah.
rotating.
Well, the state wants some guardrails, we don't wanna micromanage so
Gotcha.
much,
Yeah.
because each community is different and has different needs.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Question right here.
Oh, no, it's more like a statement. I was reading something last night, I couldn't find a Georgia statute right, said HOA once it started, right, after 20 years, it's supposed to be null and void, supposed to resubmit the HOA. Is that true?
Didn't understand.
Cause it's not like a lifetime commitment, once you start HOA, okay, after 20 years, the HOA ends, you have to resubmit and redo the HOA to start another HOA. I couldn't find a Georgia statute, but it do say for the state of Georgia.
There is
20
something,
years.
I just don't know the statute offhand, but there is something that it has to be reestablished
Right.
after a certain time frame.
So we'll look into it and get the answer later.
There is something.
Lady in the back.
Okay, I'm Ms. Robinson. Just wanted to know, I mean, Ms. Williams, I'm sorry.
Who are you? I didn't see your name.
But anyway, so there are ways you can push a bill to where, say, for example, you have 500 homes in a subdivision. You get 300 signatures from the homeowners. We can eliminate the HOA altogether.
Yes, yeah.
Is that something that you really want?
That's something I really want. Because I will say this, now this is no one's fault. I purchased my home when I was 23 years old, so I really didn't understand what I was signing when I was, getting into an HOA. But the problem, and I will say, I haven't had a lot of issues with HOA, but now, somebody is in the board of directors it's just too much. With the parking and with this and with that, we've had people, a lot of people are having a lot of issues. We've had people try to get signatures to get the person out of, office, and, it's some shicey stuff going on. They found out that they were stealing money, it's just a lot of things going on. However, yeah, we want to, I'm gonna be honest, we also have 2 pools. I'm willing to let them have the money they have, we can fill up the pool, and just make it a sitting area for people, and try to get people to just keep the area clean or something, but I'm sick of them. I just don't feel like nobody should be able to tell me what to do with the property that I purchased.
Okay, so the lady in the black.
My name is Lisa Jones, and I've only been here like 5 months now. And I was at the last meeting, I didn't know O'Hara Village too. Excuse me. And I've never been an HOA, I'm from Chicago. And I see why, because it was just crazy. And when they were talking about the 1 year, 2 year, we have that in our bylaw, that the committee is the 9 members of the board, and it's supposed to be a 1 year, 2 year, and a 3 year term.
Yeah.
However, the way they did the thing, the president, she was up there, all she did was call out the name. Now, I'm new, I don't know who these people are. You ain't tell how, when they got there, how long they been there, nothing. So, it's just a running on, and then they got these proxies. Well, she had 51 by herself, so she just voted up, moved back in. So, I'm like, where's the 1 year, 2 years, So, when I sent my little fees in, I put a note in there, I'm like, I need some explanation. And so, but I agree with her. I don't wanna be an HOA. I was just trying to find a house, so my mother could move down here and be rent. And I didn't realize in the HOA until I
Right, right.
I think what I'm hearing is that, you know, everybody has bylaws and they have, rules in their bylaws, but they're not being reinforced. There's no way
Right.
to reinforce that. And you'll hear a little bit later about, some inclusions in some of the Senate bills that Senator Brass agreed. Did you see the bill?
Forces, yeah.
Yeah. He agreed to include in the bill in terms of, enforcement from the state level. So I think that may answer a lot of your questions.
Okay, I see,
If that
I'm
bill-
looking at everybody's
if that
hands.
bill passes.
So the lady in the brown shirt, brown sweater, yes, ma'am.
I've been down to the Capitol over the last 2 years with the hearings at Gonzalo James, her initiative. And I do remember hearing that there is a 20-year limit of statute from the covenants. I do remember hearing that.
I believe that's POAs and not all HOAs. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's only POAs, yeah.
Well, I live in a PO community, Crystal Lake, with about 700 homeowners, right? And the community was established in 2005. We're in 2026. The original covenants are 250-some pages, and then amended and restated bylaws in 2012. When I moved in, I didn't get the first amended and restated bylaws in 2018. I didn't get it. And it's supposed to be, I'm a realtor also, so realtors and homeowners in doing full disclosure are supposed to submit property owners with governing documents. So if that governing documents is not uploaded, as it was in my case, on Century's portal, Century Management portal, to give the homeowners to be able to make decisions, full disclosure, to be able, to be able to make a decision. Well, I didn't get it. Other homeowners on my home did not get it. I mean, the restated bylaws in 2012. So I'm reasoning that 205, we're in 2026, that we should be re-establishing governing documents based on where we are now. Now, what the board did and Century participated in, Dunlap and Garnier, our association attorney, all in cahoots. I'm calling them names out. They all in cahoots. They all get being enriched on our back. So what they did, after spearheading a petition to remove the board and have a special hearing, I had 6 volunteers within the community going door to door, getting the petition signed. 462 residents signed that petition. We presented it to the board. Dunlap and Garnier, in retaliation, they came back and did a second amended and restated bylaws, which is a fraudulent document. I examined it. It's not even done. And everybody that has not gotten it, within it, it's saying that they have the right, the existing board, to choose who they want to be on the board. They actually have that in writing. Yeah. And they have it in the second amended restated bylaws. I went to the Henry County Courthouse yesterday to see if that document's on the record. It's right.
So wait a minute, I got the lady right there in the,
When was it issued?
The second amendment restated bylaws, April of 2025, we presented the petition to
April
them.
2025.
Yeah, we presented the petition to them March of 2025, and that in retaliation, they come back. The 2012 bylaw says to change the bylaws requires 2/3 of the committee. They did not honor it at all. It's clearly stated in the bylaws. It's my understanding that if things are not clear in the bylaws and open for interpretation, then they, but it's clearly stated that we needed 50% plus one for the special meeting for calling them. We had 69% of the community to sign, and they are still in compliance. Recently, it's ongoing. Okay, we have dues that are due February 1st. Nobody's gotten a bill. it's conflicting information coming out, oh, it's this, oh, it's that, oh, it's this. So we don't have a bill, and if nobody pays the bill, they don't have a bill, then it's gonna be late fees, interest and penalties.
So in addition to writing us, don't be afraid to write your local news reporters. Okay, get Channel 2 out there and
Yeah, so-
shine the light.
So let me try to get as many people voiced in as possible. The lady in the aqua, I guess it's aqua blue. So.
I'm Mrs. Robbins.
That's Miss Williams.
Hello, Mrs. Robbins.
Anyway, now, her question was, about how to, getting a petition and having so many people sign it. Is that legal? Can that be done? And will it work?
Can you
Yes,
add it?
yes. And then I'm gonna have Michael, when this time comes up, he gonna address that.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
not done.
No, I know you're not, go ahead.
All right, now, is it legal for them to raise your fees in less than 20 years? Now, what ours were raised last year, or the year before last, to $100 more. And then I got a letter in December saying, now they raised it again. So now I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I don't want families too much anyhow. They ain't doing nothing for me. I really wanna know how to abolish them. That's all. Get
Right.
slammed up. Cause they ain't doing me no favors.
Right, so again, Mr. Michael gonna answer that question when his
Okay.
term come up, but we all make a note of everybody's question so that we can get it,
Thank you.
answered. I have you next, sitting behind Miss Funny, yeah, you, and then Miss Funny next.
I'm Cynthia Crawford and I'm a realtor. And my question is to Ms. Regina. If you reached out to the Georgia Association of Realtors to put your bill on our advocacy watch list so that we can do a call to action, because there's 50,000 realtors in the state of Georgia that are behind you because you are a realtor too.
Thank you. Thank you. So yes, I have been working with a realtor to help get that done. I don't know if she's actually done that, but I will ask her. Thank you for saying that. So this was 2025 when I introduced HB 512. In 2023, I introduced another bill similar as the HOA measure, and I got so much pushback. I got pushback from the HOA lobbyists. I can't think of, it was CIA twice. And there was somebody else who was working on behalf of the realtors pushback. And also the General Assembly didn't like the bill. So I came back this year and decided to work a little bit smarter with everyone, and that's how this bill was able to get to rules. But yes, I will definitely ask about that. Yeah, I used to be a realtor.
Okay, so Miss Funny,
Hello there.
and I do wanna point out, I try to give people their, credentials. So Miss Funny is also, a advocate, for the community as well, and she has some other titles as well, but just let you know that she's very much involved, with what's going on the Democrat side.
And this is Leslie with me. My question, our Board of Commissioners, basically every time they approve a subdivision, they put in there that it's mandatory that an HOA be established. So now the problem is, when you go to the board, if you have a problem with the HOA, so like in our subdivision, it was a new subdivision, and the management company and the developers took it extremely, like years and years and years to even turn it over to us. So when I go before the board and I say we need our HOA, we want it under our control, it then becomes a civil issue. Now, once it becomes a civil issue, it's now to the point where now the residents have to come out of pocket to fight the HOA. Is there something that you can put in there to say, if we have to take the HOA to court and the residents win, that the HOA would have to reimburse the money that has been spent to fight them?
That sounds like something the oversight.
Commission or six.
It addresses it. So there's two bills that were introduced this week on the Senate side, and you'll hear about that. And I think those bills answers most of your questions. We're looking to have an oversight commission on all the HOAs across the state, and they're gonna have a lot of authorities and be able to cut where cut needs to be, and, you know, width needs to be width. things like that. You know.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
So, someone was asking about the 20 years. So from what I can find out, Georgia Code 44-5-60 has expired. If your declaration was filed after July 1st, 1993, it automatically renews every 50 years unless 51% of the, I'm sorry, not 50, 20, excuse me. I was reading it. Unless 51% of the owners file to terminate, which answers your question.
Thank you.
You've gotta have 51%, but if your documents say that only those that are eligible, then if you have 100 units and only 50 of them are eligible to vote, then you need 26
Right.
to disband.
Right.
So that answers that question. You were asking the question, you asked the question. What did you just ask?
Ma'am, can I just ask
There's
you,
a-
what title is that under? Is that under?
44.
That's the code, but what title, what section is it under?
I only know the code.
Because there's different codes that relate to condos.
Right,
different
condos,
codes.
property owners.
Yeah, they're on the different codes.
Right.
So I don't know which one this one is under.
And then, I'm sorry, Donna, you were asking, Ms. Honey, you were asking, so there is a law that if you as a homeowner sue a lien, you are reimbursed automatically by your HOA. I don't know the law. I'm suing it because I'm suing my HOA and I plan to get every dime back. But I'm not,
Is that for?
I'm gonna look and see.
Okay.
My name is Caroline Simmons. I live in Waldrop Park. I live in Decatur. I have sued my HOA as a derivative action. We have lost our attorney, and on January 30th, we have a status hearing. The moment that status hearing is over, I am filing a lawsuit on my own without the other homeowners in order to hold not just my HOA accountable for the documents that they have not provided, but the individual board members are personally responsible if what they have done is malicious, intentional, and it violates the law. They installed water meters for us. Well, they replaced water meters that are already been installed. In the state of Georgia, in order for you to do that as a special assessment, if it's over $200, the community has to vote. It was $1,610, and no one in my community had an opportunity to vote. I don't know about y'all, but 1610 is more than 200. So I'm going to sue my board members individually in the hopes that they will become individually responsible for $367,000. I say that to say, you may not be able to get the other homeowners in your community to do things. There are things that you can do yourself. It's not cheap, but you can go to court yourself. There are statutory things that the board is required to do, that you can go to the court and say, I'm not trying to get any money from them. I just want you to force them to do things. We haven't gotten financials for the entire year of 2025. We received a budget at the end of 2024 that said we were going to go into debt by $367,000. The budget that we received about a week ago says we're going into debt, $397,000. For me, that's not a budget. So that is another thing that I'm gonna have to sue the board over. As an individual, I don't wanna sue the board. I don't like none of them, but it doesn't mean I wanna sue them. I don't wanna see them in debt. But what I'm not gonna do is you're not gonna spend my money and try to take all of my money and not explain to me where my money is going.
Okay.
Well, it is the harassment.
And then, okay, Miss, the young lady in the back with the daughter.
Hello, my name is Robin Gomez. I live in Avion Park, in Stockbridge. I have a question. Is there a law anywhere in place when it comes to HOA, as far as, I tried to get a fence put up, and I want a vinyl fence, but they're saying that the standard in the bylaws is you can only do dog ear with fence. And I've explained to them that dog ear is the type, it's the shape, it's not the material. But they refuse, to allow me to put up vinyl fence. So I asked to meet with the board, and they flat out refused. Is there any laws as far as you having the right to request a meeting with board members? Because my question to them is, how can you tell me it is the standard when I ride through my subdivision and I see all different types of wood, but they're not dog ear wood? There's one person with a vinyl does spring back up upon us, you know, in a few months, I wanna get my fence put up. But I feel like, okay, I need to have something in writing to show that there's a law that they can at least meet with me to explain why you're not at least allowing me to put up the iron fence.
So there's no state governing law that says what type of fence can be applied to any property.
I'm asking to meet with you. Is there any laws that you need?
It may be it's in your
Exactly,
bylaws.
arbitration or semi potentially.
Yeah, so it's in your bylaws, the state that you could put in a written request to talk to your people, you know, the board. Now, after that, then again, that's another law that they don't broke. So just like the young lady had said, then you gotta make a decision. Do you want to take it upon yourself and do a civil action?
See, the thing is, the HOA president was, redoing her meeting, and she was very clear in saying she don't like fences. And I'm like, that's your personal opinion, because you don't like it, doesn't make it, you know, a law. She was saying, but the standard, and I asked her, well, what is the definition of standard? You know, because obviously I don't know the definition. And she was saying, well, everything has to be the same. Well, it's not the same, you're right, when you see all these different fences. There's a raw iron fence, and I'm like, there's nothing wood about that fence at all.
So does Avion have a management office?
Yes.
Who are they?
Assessment.
Oh, I've heard of them.
You know, and I spoke to the lady there, and she was just straight out rude. I sent all the pictures and everything, and she was like, well, they don't wanna meet.
I would look at your own bylaws, see if there's arbitration, that you can request. It may or may not have it, and then if you actually see someone with raw iron, I would take a picture and show that they're denying to me and be like, this looks like selective enforcement. And then you need to go that route. I'm not a lawyer, just someone familiar with bylaws, just wanted to state that. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we have a question right here. Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Mayor, in the pink and black.
No, you.
No, I didn't, but she was talking, so I didn't know.
Okay.
So, my question, well, as I was asking a moment ago, if you could state what your bill and what the other one were to kind of re-level set the room, just because I know a lot of people are on the bylaws, but then it just really comes down to the enforcement mechanism, because not everyone's gonna have the financial means or even filling out proper forms and things like that, have the mental capacity to be able to go back and forth to a courtroom, especially when not all of those institutions are in that necessary county, then it goes into where do they go? And you can spend so much money going around and around in a circle, so it comes back to, from an enforcement mechanism, what is being proposed, so that way it doesn't have to go to court.
So my bill are just changes to administratively how an HOA can function. What's included in, the Senate bill is establishing an enforcement agency, basically. And it comes with a lot, and you can speak more intelligently about that, because I was not working on that process. I just really learned about that recently. My bill enforces just as administratively, what can an HOA do in terms of charging for closing letter, in terms of notifying you on an annual basis about what your fees are, what your assessments have been, and also making sure that there's an opportunity to discuss your arrears through an arbitrator or a mediator before they place a lien on your property. And if that passes, then the enforcement agency will be able to enforce those measures.
So with that bill that's proposed, how is that different from what was proposed that had actually made it to Governor Deal's desk that they got vetoed? What was different
The
from
cap.
that?
One of the things that was different was the cap on the closing letter. The cap on the closing letter in the previous bill was $350. We reduced it to $200.
I was gonna say with that bill, I believe it was $10. That's what we had.
The $10 is the statute right now. The statute is $10.
You're talking about the cap for,
Yes,
okay.
it's not being enforced.
And what's the difference, if we can get what's the cap and I think what she was saying?
So the,
No, so what is-
the-
what
the
is your
statute,
saying?
the statute says the closing letter should cost $10. That's
Correct.
not what's happening in reality.
So it goes back into my point from an enforcement mechanism, right? When we sat and we listened to the testimonies, they had where the Secretary of State was like, yeah, it's supposed to come here, but yeah, we're gonna kick it down the road to have somebody else deal with it. But it comes to right now, because what we are seeing is people are losing their property. We are seeing, right, like, for my community, my cable and internet is connected to my HOA dues. Okay, I went from 180 to 270 in less than 5 years, okay? If I don't watch cable, guess what? I don't care if my cable is on, right? Just like if I don't use my amenities, I don't care what happens in the amenities, right? But I shouldn't lose my home because I don't watch cable. You know, because.
Are you in a condo?
No, I'm actually in
Single
a
family?
residential house.
Single family detached?
Single family
Okay.
detached. Now, because it's a huge community, there are, what was initially designed for 184 townhomes, only 26 got built. And so now that part of the HOA is constantly in arrears because there's supposed to be maintenance taking care of those units. But then because somebody wasn't doing what they were supposed to do, now they're always in the shortfall, debts are being condemned, things like that, of that sort. So it goes back into, if you're suing the HOA, you're essentially paying for that lawsuit on top of the extra expense for doing it. Not everybody has that. So where is the true over enforcement mechanism today? Because ethically there is.
There is none.
So even to that, then what is the gravitas for them to put one in place then? If
You keep talking and pounding the floor and picking up the phones and getting your stories out. I'll talk about what I know of 406, which is true enforcement, because spending 50,000, 40,000, some pulled my law from 20,000 after coming out of pocket, a huge, almost half of that still. The only enforcement is suing. Unfortunately, a lot of times, it's not even worth suing. Even if you have a $6,000 fine, you may think, oh, well, I'm gonna sue. Your lawyer's gonna take a $4,000, $5,000 retainment. By the time you even get to trial, before you even get there, it may be $30,000, $40,000, so people suck it up, or they lose their home if they can't come up with that $5,000 or $6,000 in fines.
And I totally understand that. As a housing advocate, what I see is you have veterans, you have FHA homeowners that are being denied an opportunity to accessible housing. So this is a grander scale from a federal standpoint, but from a state, what do you really need us to be doing? Pounding at the state door house, like change this bill? But with all the different variations of where is one that is consolidated?
Well, there's two trains running. One, we have to change administratively what they can do, right, what they're allowed to do. And once that's in place, we have to have a mechanism to enforce it. And that's what these two bills are doing. They're doing different things. And if you're asking what would incentivize us to pass the bill, you would. The communities would incentivize us to get everything done. You just keep pounding and emailing and calling and showing up. Yeah, that's the way we get things done.
Why would they even legally allow to do all of this?
There's no
Either intentional, just no foresight in the fact that this was gonna be a huge issue and a loophole for HOAs to really do what they want, even if they know they're in the wrong and they are facing media attention. I tell people who reach out, oh, Michael, can you connect me with this reporter, that reporter? I can connect you, but they have a million stories to cover. I've seen their inbox. I've been right next to them on their phone. They can't cover everyone. And I tell them, even if you get media coverage, we live in 2026. No one is afraid of a threat to sue anymore. It's not the 90s where, oh, I'm sending you a cease and desist or a letter to sue for this. You actually have to do it. That's the only way you get results. And unfortunately, to do that, it costs thousands of dollars to even potentially send a letter and go above that. So, yeah.
So what I'm thinking, what you're saying is that's the reason why I brought the representative here, is because, like the young lady said, how can we get it enforced? So it's like a check and balance. Somewhere in there, the checker is not checking the balance. Okay, so that's where it falls on state secretary, because I don't went down to change the command. And then and I went to the attorney general, which is Mr. Carter. Because in the state secretary, he should have a department that's overseeing the HOAs, period. If it's condos, townhouses,
co-ops, whatever.
Whatever. He should have a department, because at the end of your bylaws, it states at the annual meeting, your minutes need to be submitted to the Secretary of State. So if I'm sending it to you, that sounds like you the end of the end all, meaning that I'm gonna read through here, or I got a committee that's gonna read through it to make sure that they did everything in order. If not, then I need to send some of my people down to let them know you're not in compliance. I can go ahead and shut you down and stuff like that. So I think that's one of the things that I know I'm asking for, is that would that be in one of the bills
will the Secretary of State, whoever's gonna be in that position, will be able to develop a committee to do so.
And let me just add, Deetra is right, because we elevated this to the Secretary of State and Mr. Clark. They pushed it back, and they say, it's not, it doesn't.
Civil suit.
Yeah, cause they wouldn't,
So-
they won't be held accountable.
Yeah, so with that being said, instead of fixing it from a Band-Aid standpoint, and we've done the research, Georgia laws for HOAs hasn't been visited since the sixties. So maybe we need to start there and put some concrete and make this thing work, cause we've been dealing with this, and when you go to a state representative, they push it back. So it needs to be addressed at the ground level of what was submitted in the sixties. I mean, 1960.
Well, HB 512 starts from the complaints that I've heard from the Realtors Association as well as tenants. That's where that is starting from.
Right.
And it's not to say that that's where it's gonna end, but that's something to build upon each
Right.
year. What's more important is to really get an oversight committee to be able to oversee what's going on in different communities.
Right.
Okay, Ms. Funny?
And I would just suggest if we're going to do this, this is the year to do
100%.
it. Yes. Our Secretary of State is running for governor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have so many people that we can hold accountable at this point that are running for higher office. Almost all of our constitutional officers are running for higher office. We need to put the force on all of them, and not just the Democrats or the Republican side too. Because especially the Republicans, they only come into Clayton County when it's time for these elections. And then we don't see them again. So we need to hold all of them accountable. And on that note, if you join one of the political organizations, those are the types of things that we can advocate for to push the button. And when they come, and they are coming, they're coming to your church, they're coming to the restaurants, they're coming to all different events now because they're running for office. This is the time when we all come together, galvanize, and look them in their face when they get here and when they have forums and things like that. But it can't be just one or two people. It has to be this whole room that shows up in their face and say, we don't get this done before the session is over, don't worry about my vote. And we can get that out there. But if we're gonna do it, it has to be this year.
Okay, ma'am?
Well, I'm a little unusual because I did know, but I came out of Michigan. And we had a volunteer HOA, no problem. We had a real HOA, is what I call it, in my second house, no problem. I got here and I got the real reality here in Florida of what the HOA does. But here's what I'm dealing with. Now, the HOA decided, not legally, that we all had to buy these mailboxes. I was never notified. I didn't know of it. Found out when they were putting them in when I talked to my neighbor. So we got these $400 mailboxes we got to put, yeah, that's what I said. So there's a group of us that never got notified and didn't put them in. They were like, they're voluntary. Well, along the way, the HOA decided they're not voluntary. Everybody is. So they just sent us, never notified us, just sent us to collection. So now, I got a law firm that I'm dealing with. Well, they come back and say, okay, it was an illegal act. We didn't do this right. We didn't follow the covenants and blah, blah, blah. We're gonna take the $400 mailbox off your bill. But we're gonna leave the $375 late fees on it. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I am not paying you fees for an illegal act. The HOA has said it's illegal. The law firm knows it's illegal. The management company knows it's illegal. So that's what I'm dealing with. I'm fighting not having to pay $375 for an illegal act.
And these are stories that we really need to hear at the Capitol. And I think that there's a website or something that they can sign up and enter their stories on Watch.
Yeah, the Watch Project, there's a survey that I'll get into that is super important because Senator Matt Grass basically said to me, and Amanda Dutton, who's not here today, he wants to see that survey, and I encourage all of you, I'll talk about it at the end again. It's basically a survey talking about where you're located, what your issue is, and what do you think would be the solution to your issue, because passion, emotion is important, but they need to see the data, because what's gonna happen is we're gonna have a great bill, which SB 406 is, it can be better. And what's gonna happen is it's gonna get watered down at the last minute, and everyone in this room is gonna be like, I thought they were doing this, what happened? And so it's super important to present that actual data of what you're saying in front of them when we meet with them. Yeah.
And let me just mention something that was just said. He said he's working with Senator Grass. Senator Grass is just not senator. He's the chair of the Rules
Yes.
Committee.
Yes, very important role.
What does that mean?
Mhm.
That means that he controls where the bills go.
Yeah.
So it's very important to have him work with us because that means that he's interested. He wants to see his bill passed.
Right.
He's not going to sign off and participate on a bill that he's not going to send out.
And that's why nothing has happened for years.
Exactly.
Yeah, you already know that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, Pastor Warner, is he connected with the gentleman you're talking about?
Who? I didn't hear you. No, he's a federal, he's a U.S.
federal.
senator. Yeah.
So Michael gonna get a chance to explain all of that. At this time, I just wanna thank, State Representative, Regina, Lewis, Ward for coming out, talking to us. We appreciate it, but we'll be in touch with her some more down the line, but do what she says. And Michael's gonna give you the instructions of what to do. So at this time, I'm gonna bring, Michael up and everything for him to state who he is and tell us small background about how he got into this position.
All right, yeah. All right, so I'm gonna clear up first.
Yeah.
Do it together.
Again, I'm Deetra Poindexter. For people that's been coming in, I might have spoke with you either on Nextdoor or you actually called me up or text. So this is who I am, this is what I look like, and everything. So I'm passionate about doing what is right. Not just to get along to get along. I'm all about doing what is right. If we got a law for that, I expect you to hold the law. That's what it was in there for. So I was able to reach out to a lot of people to come forward, to be able to speak to you all so that we'll know what we need to do to have a movement and stuff like that. So while the senator, the state rep is trying to get out and might go into a bathroom break, but if you have to use the bathroom, it's right down this hallway. I do have other advocates. Tell me your name.
Caroline Simmons.
Ms. Simmons also is an advocate as well. She done been through the process, know what's going on. So now Michael is gonna come forward and talk about the real meat and potatoes. How do we make a difference? There you go.
How y'all all feeling today? Yeah. So I want to elaborate on, I'm going to call her Miss Realtor because I don't know her name, said about why, what was that? Amy. So there's a lot of behind the scene things why nothing has changed for the past few years. To make a long story really short, after I've met with several people on the Republican side through people in my tennis world, I play tennis. If you don't play tennis, I highly recommend it. Opens up a lot of doors. So the reason nothing has happened in Georgia is because it wasn't affecting a certain, I guess, a segment of the population, right? So if you've really done your history in Georgia and the South, the history of HOA is, I guess I would call it redlining, legalized. And to this day, there's actually a lot of communities throughout Georgia, Arkansas, where it basically states no sale to colored people. It's still in the books. All you have to do is type in no colored HOAs and you'll see all of the active laws. Of course, it's not enforced or enforced openly, but that's the situation with that. But I think this year it's important that all of you call, email, and show up at the Capitol, because it's not just in Georgia, it's nationwide, and we have a huge movement. Like every week you see a different HOA story going on right now, and based off of the public coverage and what I've seen behind the scenes, I think this is the year that it will actually happen. Why do I say that? Of all the bills that people have talked about over the years in Georgia, you haven't seen any that relates to an HOA and the owners come through sponsored by the Republican side. Whether Republican, Democrat, the reality of the situation is the Georgia Senate is Republican dominated, the Georgia House is Republican dominated. And if a bill sponsored by a Democrat does make it through, it's because they got the go-ahead, like, okay, yeah, we'll back you up on this. So that's the reality of the situation that Ms. Ward Lewis was talking about with working with the other side. Really quick before I get to SB 406, my experience. During COVID, a lot changed. First, personally, a lot of people were getting side jobs. I had a day job, and I said, you know what? I want to do something on the side. I didn't feel like, door dashing or something like that, so I said, let me get into real estate investing. I want to provide low-income homes. So I bought several properties in Southwest Atlanta. I knew it was going to be a difficult situation because before I even bought the home, I had to get an attorney before closing. Why did I have to get an attorney? The HOA president refused to give closing documents, and the property that I bought, and I just moved to Atlanta 10 years ago, so I'm new Atlanta, but it's still small. The property I bought belonged to the family of civil rights leader Jesse Hill Jr., so it belonged to his family. Then I found out that his family went to the same church, Big Bethel AME, as my wife. My wife's family has ties going back there since the early 1900s, and long story short, she told the family, I'm not giving any documents. Why didn't she give any documents? So she owned, on paper, at least 14 properties and wanted more. So she's playing real life Monopoly. We live in a capitalistic society, so I'm like, okay, whatever. But now she's taking it a step above to capture these properties for herself. So she goes, you know what? I'm not sending you documents. You can't close. Go ahead and, sell it to me, and then your sale will go through. And so I didn't take that lying down. I said, you know what? I'm going to threaten to sue you, and I'm not just going to threaten to sue. I'm going to write out how much money I would have made, how much it was going to cost me to fix it up, how much I paid for general contractors to come out. So I'm suing you for this, plus punitive. You got 10 days to turn over the paperwork. Lo and behold, it turned over. During that process, I found out from dozens of other people they couldn't even get into that community, and then the people who were already in that community, they were being forced to basically sell to her. So that's what she was doing. And so that was my reintroduction to HOA harassment and foolery. To make a long story short, once I got into the community, I bought 2 units to provide Section 8. I found out that Atlanta Housing would not provide Section 8, or if you're a veteran, there's something called VASH, a veteran housing assistance. They wouldn't approve the community, and I supported them with that because she refused to make repairs. And one of the biggest things I found out in my course with dealing with this lady, not only was she refusing to make repairs, and this is a small community, about 40 condos, she wasn't paying HOA herself. And so a lot of you have threats of liens and foreclosures, even though in this community no one was at real threat of that, because she knew if she took them to court, it could come out during discovery. She wasn't paying herself. How much did she owe? From my latest calculation, I stopped calculating it because I stopped that once it crossed the $300,000 threshold. So remember, these are condos, so the monthly fees are higher. And so I was trying to still work with her, believe it or not, and then that's when January 18th, 2023 happened. What happened that day? I didn't go to sleep that night. There was a family that moved in that was low income, and is one of the few families to be an owner and an occupant because it's an investor-heavy neighborhood. And on that night, I said, look, can you please go ahead and get the insurance? Because in Georgia, you have to have insurance on a condominium. And basically, she wouldn't do it. And I said, look, this family's going to get evicted and thrown out of their home because of what you're doing. It's pretty messed up. The lady has children. Go ahead and provide the documents. She threatened to kill me and my wife. She threatened to kill me and my wife January 18th, 2023. No. That family's fine. Her name is Claire Cherry. I will say that to the high horses. That's what she did. And when she did that, I started recording her, and I didn't go to sleep that night. Not because I was afraid. I was mad. Not even mad. She threatened to kill me. I'm one of those people where if you're a bully, you can bully me. I don't care. You can roast me. I'll roast you back. I'm a smaller guy. I can handle myself. She threatened to kill my wife, and I was like, you know what? Nah, we're not doing that. I stayed up all night, created a website that many of you in this room have seen, and I went over every single thing she was doing, and I didn't just rant about it. I tied it to the bylaws. She wasn't having meetings. She wasn't having elections. She wasn't providing documents. And then I went back, did research on every home that closed in there, found out who did the closing, contacted the legal officers and paralegals, financial people, lenders were telling me, oh, she cursed me out. She threatened me too. And so I just started building a whole case file on this lady. Like I said, January 18th, 2023, I didn't go to sleep. Then I got the media involved. And then when the media got involved, she didn't like that. She then turned around from the camera, Rebecca Lindstrom of 11 Alive was there, and physically attacked me on camera. She was arrested for that. Not for the right thing with all the fraud that she was doing. And then I found out they were putting money into their personal bank accounts and got them on tape doing that. Unfortunately, it didn't go anywhere but APD. I'm not going to go into why it didn't go further than that. And so I sued. I ended up suing her. I did what's known as a derivative action. So some of you were saying, how could I change my, how can I get rid of my HOA? How can I do this? There's something called HB 222 that could help a lot of you if you look that up. Basically, HB 220 allows you to call a special meeting with 5% of your vote. That's all you need. For any reason, you don't like what's going on, and they say, oh, well, our bylaws state this. Well, the bylaws doesn't overrule state law. So Kemp signed that almost a couple of years ago now. So that's a tool for many of you to use.
220?
HB 220, it passed and he signed that. It basically states if you're in a co-op, condo, whatever, you can call a special meeting with 5%. So if your bylaws state you need a quorum, 25%, that's a whole little thing where you need a quorum and they play games with the quorum. Well, you can't vote, you can't do this, we don't got a quorum. Well, you can have a special meeting, which is 5%. And if they actually state that's wrong, it is not. Any law firm will tell you, even the HOA lawyers who won't represent you as an individual will tell you, you can actually go ahead and do that. So definitely.
So y'all write that down.
The numbers have been bothering me because it's 5% your quorum then, or 5%?
No, sorry, I combine it. Forget any quorum. If you live in a community, if you get 5% of signatures or 5% people to agree in text, however you want to collect it, if 5% of your community agrees, you can have a special meeting to then, if your bylaws relate. So if you want to go ahead and remove the board or remove an individual, or someone said something about dog ears and a fence, you can force a vote on, does this meet the standard, as she was saying. So that's a potential solution without having to sue. The issue is you can still do that if you have an honorable HOA. They'll say, you know what, you got us. We've got to make that adjustment. Unfortunately, many HOAs are going to say, you know what, you got the 5%, you did this, guess what, screw you, we're not leaving. So that's the issue. So I ended up suing them, and they were so corrupt that I had Judge Paige Reese Whitaker, which is, she got some notoriety because she was the YSL judge. So that worked in our favor and it worked against us. That was the longest criminal trial in Georgia. So we were there waiting, years for this to get to the court. And it worked in our favor because I've looked at her in a few other cases. I would say from what I've seen, she appears to be a very fair, no-nonsense judge. She doesn't play games. She's not, Paige Reese Whitaker, she's a Fulton County Superior Court judge. But anyway, so they were claiming that I didn't serve them properly. So keep in mind, they were so corrupt. This lady was using the HOA headquarters as an abandoned house in a different county, right? Which isn't necessarily shady by itself, but the issue was she was never there to get served. And so she basically told an intermediary judge who filled in for Judge Paige Reese Whitaker because she was doing that trial, and they were trying to get cases moving along because Fulton County is really backed up. They basically made the argument that, well, he served the registered agent and he didn't serve us individually. Keep in mind, if you're going to sue an entity in Georgia, you don't have to sue the CFO, the chief legal officer, the chief marketing officer. You only have to serve the registered agent in Georgia. And guess who the registered agent was? She was. And so she was dodging the lawsuit, and she has her properties under different names. When I say under different names, I'm not talking different companies. She spells her name differently. She spells her name differently. I was hit a mark. She spells her name differently. And so what we did was something they do in divorce and cases. We did what's known as what do you call it? Service by publication. So if someone's dodging you, at least in Georgia, they can't get away with it for long. So I did a service by publication on the registered agent. They tried to get it thrown out. They showed up to court to get it thrown out, and the judge goes, well, why do you need it thrown out? You're claiming you're not served properly and you didn't know about the lawsuit, but you responded to the lawsuit and you're here right now. So basically they're trying to get it thrown out in a technicality. She didn't go for that. Long story short, she said, I need to hear a response to Michael's claim. It was a 205-page lawsuit that I pretty much wrote myself, to be honest with you. I paid a lawyer and all that money. I didn't even go to trial, and my final legal bill was $37,000. I actually spent over $40,000 doing other stuff outside of the lawyers. And we didn't even make it to trial. Basically, the judge said, I need a response. And their lawyers kept saying, well, no, Michael didn't serve properly. And she said, Michael served them properly. Michael served them properly, and they didn't respond. Their lawyer didn't even show up, and they go, "We're going to represent ourselves." And she's basically said, "You know what? Georgia law, if you're an HOA, you can't represent yourself. Because I don't want tomfoolery in my court. This is not Judge Judy or Judge Joe Brown. This is a serious situation." So they lost by default in their face. They were there and they still lost by default because of the legal games they were playing. So I got rid of the old board. She appointed me. We had a special election, which they didn't honor, by the way. So I did it by the book. When I tell you I did more reading than I did in college, going through not only the bylaw, but the other governing documents, the rules, the CCRs, I read it over and over and over. And so we had a special meeting before the judgment came through, and they didn't honor it. So I did it to the letter of the law. They still didn't honor it. So right now you have to sue. And so that's where I'm going to go into SB 406. So right now that I guess got introduced 2 days ago, I read it last night in preparation for this. So I'm just going to do a high-level overview from what I saw and took away from that bill. Because prior, Matt Grass introduced SB 361 that basically stated, hey, we're going to raise the foreclosure amount. It didn't have anything with enforcement. So this version has an enforcement commission that is to be convened. Several members will be appointed by the governor. It will be appointed by, I believe, himself, and then other individuals. It raises the foreclosure from $2,000 to $4,000. Some people want to see foreclosures completely banned. I'm not necessarily against that, but in terms of condos, it's kind of sketchy doing that. I'll go into that later. If you bring your case to this board, this commission, the loser pays. And the good thing about that is, even if you did bring it and you're not sure, you're not spending thousands of dollars. At most, it's probably going to cost you a couple $100s if you lose to bring your case before this board. It's not a complete, end-all be-all situation, so the loser can then take their case to Fulton County Superior Court. So now you have a level between, an issue at the HOA and a $40,000 lawsuit. There's something in the middle that's, to me, extremely reasonable. The thing that I did not like about it, and that I've been sending out communication on, is he didn't include anything with elections and payment integrity. Really quick with the election piece, there's so many games that they played with the elections and quorums, and someone mentioned 51 proxies. I could just tell you right now off the top of my head, I don't know how big that community is and who said that, but I'm pretty sure all of those weren't legit proxies. And I wouldn't be surprised if it included dead people, because I've seen that as well. So I want him to, when I meet with him and Amanda Dutton, I want to reiterate the importance of them not only keeping regular records, but records on specifically elections and how they're to be conducted. A lot of people still do paper ballots. I'm sorry, if you do a paper ballot, it needs to be scanned somehow and every unit accounted for. We're not going to hear, oh, well, Sally got 47% of the vote, and the numbers don't make sense. Like, it needs to be audited and it needs to be kept track of. And then the last thing that I really don't like about it is the payment integrity aspect. This is another common issue. Your HOA dues are $200 a month. So you're paying that. Then all of a sudden you get a $3,000 fine. Whether it's legit or not is a whole nother story. Going back to HB 220, another thing that did is basically stated, if you get a fine and you don't pay it, or even if you do, whatever the situation is, so long as you pay your actual HOA assessments, you do not lose your right to vote. So that's a huge thing that happened with that bill. However, here's the loophole. You pay your $200 in a monthly HOA assessment, they reallocate it to the fine, and now your payments for your assessment is $0. You can't vote, you can't run, you can't do nothing. And so I think that's a huge oversight, even with having a commission. So those are like the two more important things that I saw that I was like, this is kind of sketch, even with the commission. And then the biggest thing with the commission is, many of you who've gone to the Capitol have seen it over where they talk about, $25 for every unit to go towards funding this, because people always complain about big government. Where's the money coming from? So that was the talk. Whether you agree with it or not, that was how it was going to be funded. And I think that comes to nearly $50 to $60 million, depending on the actual accurate count of every single HOA community in the state of Georgia. The issue with that I saw is I didn't see a salary for these board people. So unless I miss it, I'm gonna do a third look at it. That is telling me people are gonna be appointed and it's potentially volunteer. I'll get clarification from him on that. If it's a volunteer situation, my fear is people are gonna celebrate and say, you finally have enforcement. And then you're gonna get a lot of shadiness going on with the decisions that should be black and white, and it's going this way. My fear is that individuals from certain law firms, property management companies, and lobby groups, communities and CAI, those will be the people that it's filled with, and it's the same mess. And so that's my big concern, even though I was like, it needs to include enforcement, if the only people that can be on this board is not gonna be everyday working people, it's more than likely gonna be people from one of those three groups, and that's a huge, huge issue in my opinion. Really quick, and then our recommendation to him that we sent him this week, so funny, he came out with, is that the makeup should actually be people from POAs, HOAs, condos/co-ops. A lot of people forget about co-ops. When you hear co-op, you think of, you know, fancy New York buildings, but Georgia does have co-ops, and people in co-ops are being completely screwed over in the same fashion as people in HOAs as well. So once again, we're sending out communication from the Watch Project to really pound the phones, specifically with people on the HOA subcommittee, which is underneath the Rules Committee. And like Regina said, Senator Matt Grass holds a lot of power. He's not just a senator. He's basically the Wizard of Oz. He's the man behind the curtain when it comes to this. No bill is going to, on his side, is going to come through without going through his hands. So I finished that part. You got a question? I'll take it away.
Yeah, you hit
All right.
something. Most of the HOA board members, the way that it's written in O'Hara Village, is a non-paid position.
Oh, yeah.
It's supposedly a non-paid position, but we know what's going on with our HOA president.
Yeah.
Why would you want to introduce the HB 220 to include payment or
Okay,
to
I got you.
research that? Yeah.
So clarification, HB 220 is an old bill that already passed. The current bill we're talking about is Senate Bill 406. Okay, and then clarifying, and that's, I may have misspoke when I said board versus commission. So no, I don't think an HOA board should 100% be volunteer. However, there are certain communities that I know they give something like incentives, like, okay, if you're on the board, you're exempt from paying your dues. But that's shady. I'm not even going into that. I'm just saying that that's what is on the bylaws, governing documents of some communities. When I'm talking about payment, I'm not talking about HOA boards. I'm talking about oversight commission. For example, like if you're an insurer or you're here in a barbershop, there's a commission. And if you do something shady in your industry, you go before that oversight board. And certain commissions in Georgia, not all of them necessarily, but a lot of the ones who are over in very important decisions are full-time staff actually. So I'm talking about that. Yeah, okay. I'm not talking about paying your corrupt president. Question. Yeah.
Well, more statement. I agree with you that it should be someone in your recommendation with an ombudsman office, and then actually that being a salary position, because having volunteers, yes, it does leave room for opportunity of corruption.
Yeah.
I mean, that is also could be, but when you have an ombudsman office, there is certain oaths or certain, things that come along with that office, and that person can be held, they can be held, more accountable with that. So that works in states like Nevada and California, things of that sort. So, but that's the type of setup that should be from an enforcement mechanism. And I would think that, recommendation, if you're having that open line of communication with them, then that would be a great recommendation.
So clarification, I support an ombudsman office, but an ombudsman, typically, the way that word is used is more of an advocate type of situation versus like a panel that, So I am not opposed to that. Senator, I believe, Senator Donzella James have been advocating for an ombudsman office. I'm not against that, I'm against it by itself, because people, there's certain states, many states have an ombudsman office, Florida is one, and what happens is people, oh, I have an ombudsman office, this is gonna get taken care of, and the ombudsman office, like, pull up a chair, what's your issue, Amy? Oh, they're reallocating your money, they're not letting you do this, they're illegal funding, that sucks. And you go, what can I do? And they go, well, that sucks. Let me tell them that sucks. And you gotta sue, by the way. So that's my issue with an ombudsman office by itself. But in combination with a commission that has enforcement capabilities with the ability to say this needs to stop. And they could penalize an out of control HOA board by stripping them of the ability to be on a board.
Okay.
No,
Go
yeah,
ahead and
yeah.
finish. No, I was gonna say, I totally understand where you're coming with that, but I think that's where, when we're asking for this level of recommendation of coming forward, that's that stipulation that has to be outlined ahead of time, so that it's not, because if you have it going in one direction, but then you also have this, then you're gonna get the finger pointing again, and so we'll be back into standing in one spot. Versus if this is the silo direction, then that's where you can say, okay, no, this is where accountability, this is where that buck stops here to making sure that there's true accountability. Not just now it's a civil suit, no, now here is the remedies, here is, it's dissolved, here is someone's fine, here is bars, because again, these attorneys are responsible on how communication is disseminated. So now you're taking people's law licenses. Now, like there is a recommendation and enforcement process that's in place.
Yeah, so to clarify, I'm not talking about property management lawyers, but I'm talking about specifically bad actors on an association board.
I know.
Oh, okay, all
That's
right.
what I'm saying. They have, the lawyers paid for by all the members in that HOA, right?
Yes,
so
I
when
got
you
you.
sue them, you're suing,
Yes,
you're
sir.
already paying for their legal defense. So
Yeah,
that's
and-
the
yeah.
process. But again, if you're now able to go in front of that ombudsman office and say, nope, here are the facts, this is what has happened, you are able to establish that behavior. That attorney can't continue on that road without jeopardizing their license, because now it's an ethical process in place. They have to be able to.
So I'm gonna pause you out right here, because we do have a special guest, I reached out to everybody, I'm just gonna let you know, I reached out to everybody. So, in the absence of, Senator James, you might have seen her on TV. And HOA is one of the bills that she's pushing as well. She brought her assistant to come and talk to us today. So on behalf of Senator James, I'm gonna bring her assistant up, come on and talk to us. Thank you so much, we appreciate you having us.
Hey, Michael, how you doing? Hey, how y'all doing? Happy New Year. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dory Henry. I'm the Chief of Staff for State Senator Donzella James. And HOAs is one of our issues that we've been fighting for about 4 or 5 years. We've recently just created a Citizens Advisory Committee and we handpicked about 15 people who have had serious issues with their HOAs throughout the state. Michael's one of our members, and so is Shirley. And so, I don't know what Michael has shared with you, but he's probably talked about Senator Brass, who is the Rules Committee Chairman. Every bill, if you don't understand the legislative process at the state capitol, whether you're on the House side or the Senate side, before it even gets to the floor for a conversation, has to go through the Rules Committee. Senator Brass is the Rules Committee Chair. So if he does not want the bill to get to the floor, and a lot of it, it's not coming from him, it's coming from the Lieutenant Governor. He'll say, don't let that bill go. He's been harassing Senator James, he's been the Lieutenant Governor, asking Senator James to drop this issue, drop it, but you can't tell another senator what to do. I mean, she has to do what's in the best interest of her constituents.
And can you say the lieutenant governor's name so everybody knows?
Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones,
Who is
and
also
the one who's running for governor.
Right.
Absolutely, Burt, B-U-R-T, Jones, J-O-N-S. And the issue is, and I'm sure you all understand or know what that is a lot of these big corporations and the Burt Joneses of the world own a lot of the properties that we live in.
That's right.
And so no, they don't want HOAs to go away. Somebody was saying that HOAs are mandatory. No, they are not. It's all dependent on the developer. I know people building subdivisions right now, it's up to them.
No,
The-
in Clayton County, the Board of Commissioners makes HOAs mandatory.
Well,
when they
that's
approve
it. What I'm telling you, that's not a state mandated
Yeah, no, it's a
initiative.
county, it's a
What I'm
county.
just, what they're trying to make it seem, somebody mentioned it in one of our committees, I said that's incorrect. That's not a state mandated initiative.
Wow.
So if there's a county, like Clayton County, then you need to take that up with your county commissioners, your state reps that represent, Clayton County, and advocate against that. Because, and that, the builder is the one that benefits from that,
Right.
and nobody else. So, you spoke to an ombudsman, that's one of Senator James's bill, is to create an ombudsman to help alleviate homeowners in the community if they have an issue, that it can be resolved before they start putting levies and fees and fines on your house and getting to that $2,000 threshold. Another one of her bills, and I wanna say that's SB 107-108, that didn't pass last year, that she's gonna reintroduce this year. 107 is, one's an OSBA. The other one will give you a certificate of good standing. A lot of times the HOAs won't even let you pay your fee, won't even let you get caught up.
Forced arrears.
Yeah, so they're forced arrears and all of that craziness. So she's created a bill that will give you a certificate of good standing. If you've been in good standing for the past 12 months, that will prohibit them from trying to foreclose on your property. One of the state representatives, Sandra Scott, is this her district?
No, this not,
It's a county.
this a county,
I know
but this
she's
is not
in,
the district.
yeah, she's in Clayton
Yes.
County. And she's dropped a bill, and
Mhm.
I wanted to share that with you. I don't know if he mentioned it. But what this will do, it will do away with the fees and fines altogether, and will prevent, your HOA from foreclosing on your house.
Yeah.
They're gonna take that out the law altogether. That's a bill that she's just getting ready to do. Exactly. And so, any bill that comes through the Senate, it's not enough for it to pass through the Senate, it's gotta cross over to the House, and it's gotta pass the House, and vice versa. So what we have tried to do is work with people, work with our colleagues across the aisle in the House side. So when they come to the Senate side, Senator James is the chair of the Urban Affairs Committee. If you come through her committee and you pass, she's got a good working relationship with Matt Brass and help get those bills moving. As you all know, this is an election year.
Yes.
So as much noise as we can kick up and raise awareness to this issue, we need everybody down at the Capitol. And so, February, Lord Jesus, January 27th,
Mhm.
you know, is
Yeah.
HOA, POA, COA day at the Capitol. If you all-
Co-op.
Don't
Don't forget our co-op friends.
No, trailer parks, CG, all of that. But we need
The
everybody,
27th,
we
from
need
9
all
to
hands
11,
on deck.
the 27th.
The 27th.
And I will be posting it, I got the flyer for it.
You got the flyer?
I got the
I was
flyer,
gonna send it to you.
from,
Yeah.
Representative Scott,
Okay.
she sent it over.
If you guys sign up at the Watch Project mailing list, every single HOA legislation, event, I try to stay on top of, so if you have not signed up for that list, please do. I know many of you found out about this with me sending that out last minute, so, yeah.
But this is an issue that we can't do it by ourselves. You know that we are in a Republican, the Republicans have a trifecta at the Capitol. What that means, you got a Republican governor, you got a Republican dominated Senate, and you got a Republican dominated House. And we say by 2030 that those, individual chambers will flip, but that's not doing us any good today. So today, your voice, your vote, it matters. And people think if I don't show up, if I just don't say anything, when you say nothing, you gonna always get what you always got. You always did what you always done. So we're saying, please, 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 write the letters. And we need to put that little list together for you all. Write the letters,
Yes.
make the phone calls. Show up when we call you and say you need to be here at such and such a day. Be there, be relevant. Tell everybody and anybody who will listen to come. I was looking for some business cards. I was at an event yesterday, and I think I gave most of them away, but I got one or two. You guys can take pictures of it.
Hey,
pass
anybody
it
got
around.
questions? Anybody
Call
got-
us, call me, whatever you need.
We
When
have
we
a
have our
question.
next, Urban Affairs Committee, HOA is always on the agenda. Michael can keep you informed.
I'll
If
take a
you are-
picture and send it out to the mailing list.
If you're in touch, with this group, please let them know. Call us. My contact information is there. We'll put you on our database, on our list, so when we have meetings, as people come through our office, we just add you to our list. So
we had a question on the floor.
Yes,
ma'am.
hi, my name is Lisa Walker. I came all the way from Henry County, I'm sorry, you guys obviously.
Okay.
I think I'm the only person here from my subdivision tonight.
Not from Henry.
Oh, praise God. Well, my HOA president, I live next door to her, she's like, we're like 90% POC, she and her husband are white. And she constantly has harassed me, and I'm in a point all the time in my home. I've been in my home 21 years. She's been in next door to me for 3 years. I mean, she fired me from my mailbox. She fired me from parking. She fired me from my garage. She fired me from my roof. She fired me for trees. She told me to replace the trees. And the fees are to the point.
You up to $2,000 yet?
Almost. My fees are $25 a day. I was paying them off. I'm a court reporter, right down the street. I work in Lake County Courthouse. And I don't make that kind of money.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't have, well, as soon as I get out of one bind, she's gonna,
Here she comes again.
and it's because she asked, I used to be neighborly, she didn't know the Microsoft Office suite, and I was teaching her. And I found out that another board member would go to church together, and they told me she was stealing money. So I pulled away, and I said, I just can't work with you. She was like, well, you give me a reason, you need me face to face, tell me why. But she's really aggressive, you know, with the bench thing. So, I just cut her off, and that's when the
harassing you.
and the retaliation started. And, our HOA board is now suing her. We're in Erie County Court in front of Judge Manning.
She's the president?
She was the only member for, about 6 months.
And that's illegal.
Right.
So,
I know the bylaws like.
Exactly, and that's illegal. And I don't know if he mentioned Senator Kemp, and I don't have the bill number yet. We are in our first week of legislative session. So the bills that have been dropping, they haven't been assigned numbers yet. But if I can keep in touch with Michael can keep you informed, but Senator Kemp, dropped some legislation that will require HOA board members to have training. That was one of our issues.
Background checks.
And background checks. Background checks, training. And I don't know what people do or what they don't do when they get a hold of those HOA monies. But what I do know is retaliating against somebody because they're asking you a question or fining you daily is abusive. It's abusive.
20 years.
And that's crazy. And I promise you, they get up to $2,000, you're gonna be one of the ones that's gonna be selling your house on the courthouse step, because they're the ones that's buying the houses. The problem that we found, you had somebody mention that when you paying your HOA dues, you're paying for legal representation. But the people, the attorneys, are not gonna represent you. They end up representing the HOA, so then you trying to find somebody else. And I found that the people they scary. That's the only thing I can come up with. The attorneys are fearful, and you can't find anybody to represent the homeowner.
Our subdivision is 50%, what they call it, subsidized housing or Section 8. And we have 870 homes, and no one comes to the meetings.
Right.
If she gives a meeting, she won't give meetings. We have one
And
meeting
that's
a year.
illegal.
She's violating all the bylaws. She changes the bylaws. She told me that I was a nuisance. And the way I read nuisance, it was like loud noise, you don't maintain your property, like leaving open refrigerators, filth. She told me because she didn't like the tone of my correspondence, I'm now being charged $25 a day according to the nuisance law. She's like she doesn't have reading comprehension skills. that doesn't apply that way. Because you don't like that I'm trying to defend myself does not make me a nuisance. And it does not read that way in the bylaws and the AOCs and the CCNRs. It doesn't, it's like she said, well, I'm sending out proxies, and people that don't respect me will be fined as a nuisance.
My phone number is 470-418-2036. That's my personal cell phone number. Call me.
Please write it down. Please write it down, it's very important.
470-418-2036. Yes, sir.
Ms. Henry,
Yes, sir.
I love what you're saying, particularly adjuncts and protesting. We are actually moving out to protest in March, the end of the month. So I would like to have these people here, we're gonna show up in front of O'Hara Village.
Okay.
And we want to form a group, so like you have a problem there, we wanna get a committee to show up at your HOA. So we need to do this together. So we're moving out on the 30th and 31st of this month. And from there, we'll be at O'Hara Village, and from there, we're marching to the courthouse. I do need, Michael, I need the news coverage, because we're moving forward.
I have another lady, we go oftentimes to different HOAs and have these conversations.
Right.
I can't think of that lady, I can see her face. Please don't tell her I forgot her name, Lord.
We don't know
But
it,
she
so just say
is,
it.
the president of an HOA alliance. And so what we've been trying to do and working with them, just making sure that we give them the support from the senator's office that they need. But they have, rallied different HOAs, and they've all joined together to share best practices, making sure the bylaws are legible, that you can understand them. Some communities, they won't even give the residents a copy of the CCNR or the bylaws. You just don't have them, you just don't get them. And then when you try to get them from the HOA office, they're saying they can't give them to you. I just never heard of any kind of crazy, it's just crazy to me.
What time are you asking for everyone to galvanize on the 27th?
9 o'clock.
9 a.m.
It's from 9 to 11.
Yeah.
And and I got more information. I got the flyer, and I will be posting that. Unfortunately, my internet was down, so I couldn't make no copies of it, so I can give them to you in person.
And I'll give you, I don't know that we have a room available yet. A lot of times, we will reserve some room so we can gather our thoughts and everybody get together before we go either to the Senate chamber or the House chamber. The majority of the time, session starts for us at the same time. But like for instance, yesterday, Senate came in at 9 and the House came in at 10. So sometimes we just different times.
What happens when they tell both people they don't even reply to your emails?
Right.
Say that again.
HOA people, they don't even reply to your email.
You send another one.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'll just keep sending them. I will send them certified letters. I would do everything to show that you communicated with them and they failed to communicate with you.
Because when you go to court, the judge's main thing is that you ask the question,
Right.
why didn't you respond to them? They have to explain their actions.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Not doing that for us.
In my case, I received a bill for $893. I sent her an email, give me the breakdown of this. She didn't respond. So tomorrow, I have a background report of over 400 pages of a criminal activity. I'll put that in there. I'm copying the Senate,
There you go.
IRS, and anyone else that's out there.
Send it to us.
It's over with for her.
Mhm.
And that's why I say on the 30th and 31st, we will be over at O'Hara Village. And we'll come to your community too.
I wish you would. My neighbors are afraid.
So what was that?
And that's what happens too. People get scared.
Yeah, no, what's the organization, the Alice?
HOA Alliance.
Alliance.
I'll
Okay.
send you, I'll send Ms. Poindexter the contact information for her. I'm gonna call, she's in my cell phone. Here's my information. And anything you need from me, feel free to reach out to me, call me, email me, text me.
Ms. Henry, one question about foreclosure.
Absolutely.
Ms. Henry, one question about foreclosure. That sounds great on the surface. I don't foresee an issue with single families, townhomes, but I've seen a couple different bills that mention, getting rid of the ability for foreclosure. What I see as an unintended consequence, and my question to you is this: what is to prevent a state entity, a county entity, or a local entity from condemning a condominium that has lost its ability to foreclose on people intentionally not paying? Because with condominiums, most of them, if not almost all, the water is tied into your HOA bill.
Right.
The trash is tied into your HOA bill.
Right.
There's many urban condos that, you know, the trash piles up, the water could potentially get shut off, just like an apartment building. If that happens because the condo has been stripped of its ability to basically collect, is there anything to stop the local municipality from them condemning everyone who lives in there and having people who are actually paying their bills still lose their home?
Can you stop the local municipality from condemning?
No, what is to stop them from condemning a condominium because they lost their ability to do foreclosure, which is being suggested?
I don't know that you can stop a local municipality from doing it.
Okay, I
don't know that can happen. I do know, to your point, we have people that have come to us, like you said, your water bill goes to your HOAs, your trash bill goes to your HOAs, and sometimes even your utilities. But this particular property, their water bill was something like $40,000, something crazy.
I got them beat.
Yeah.
I got them beat. Our bill is $668,000 to DeKalb County.
It's unconscionable.
Yeah.
I don't even know how that happened.
I just foresee an issue with the condos losing that ability to foreclose in a condominium situation, especially when you have investors who own tens of units in a one establishment and they're not paying, but everyone else who is paying still will lose their home because the condo has been stripped of its ability as being suggested by
I
some
don't know that you
legislation.
can stop that now, but let me investigate and see. This is my first time somebody asking me that question. I don't have that answer for you right now, but I'll get you one.
No, for sure.
Okay.
And I definitely want to voice that concern because it looks like great on the surface, but then it's passed and then you have this travesty.
Absolutely. And you make people homeless once again.
Who are paying their bills?
Examples of that, you have plenty of examples of that right after the financial recession. When you look around the city of Atlanta, you will see how predominantly black communities were completely stripped of ownership. That happened a lot in College Park. It was rampant through East Point.
Absolutely.
It went specifically in targeting all around. It's happening in the east side of Atlanta.
South Fulton right down the Camelot.
So
certain buildings are slated for condemnation right now.
Well, see, Camelot has been on that for decades.
For years,
So,
exactly.
you know, but
They still wow.
and it's still,
But there are people actually paying HOA who's about to lose their home, and I think
this is why it's super critical now
to talk about this.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I think we have a question right here.
No, I don't have a question, I just want to make a statement. I mean, just think about what our government have set up. The HOA is considered a corporation.
Yes.
So you set a corporation up, and you gave homeowner with no qualification, no background checks, to run one of my biggest investments that I have made.
Right.
That, to me, is criminal. That's just saying.
That's criminal.
It's criminal.
A lot of people out here with unchecked mental health, and they have the authority to run your stuff.
Right.
I gotta get back on the road, but I just wanted to throw a little tidbit out there. We have a temporary fair housing exhibit that'll tell you all about your housing rights and all of that. It's gonna be happening in Douglas County on March 10th. If you can, we appreciate it.
Okay, make sure you let me know.
And also, let me give you the email address, or the website rather, for the Watch Project. It's the Watch, WATHCH, project, this is all one word, .org. So you go to that site. We're also asking for a survey to your issues, the things that you're having problems. Because we want to gather data, right? Because when you send this to the representatives, then that won't lie. You know, you talking. We need data, right? So we will get your information on that site. And you also
Project.org.
You got it.
yeah, you'll also be able to get in touch with Michael and has all the information. And we're also working on a group that has reached out that wants to help homeowners, give you the template, give you the information, and hold your hand and tell you how to fight your HOA. Because there is a way to do it, and we need to help you to give you that too. The Watch Project.
Yes. It stands for Working for Accountability, Transparency, and Control for Homeowners. Yeah, it's an acronym.
Yeah, so working on doing that, but getting some people started. Fighting. You got that problem? I'm fighting, I'm fighting right now myself. In charge of I spent 30 years in this service, and now I got this in the middle of if you flow. That is right. That's a choice.
Okay, so at this time, if there's no more questions, for Senator James' representative, we're gonna go ahead and let her go. If she wants to stay around, please do, and stuff like that. But I do have to bring some more people up.
Thank you.
No, thank you, appreciate it, appreciate it. Okay.
I'm gonna hang around. Okay.
So also, this event could not happen, without a good friend of mine, and her name is Nicole Smith. So MVS is from her and her husband's initials. Nicole Victor Smith, yes, that's right, amen, yes. So I just want her to come forth because she does a lot of things in the community. She's about the people, the children, and the community. And this could not happen without her having that belief in what I had to feel like what is needed for us to come together as a community, and then she opened up her doors. So I just want to give her a minute to share with you all what she do, what's her mission, and how can you get involved with it as well.
Deetra, make sure everybody signs that.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Nicole Smith, co-owner of MBS Soul Food. I'm very excited and happy to see you all here in this place. So this wasn't really slated to be a restaurant, although people are looking for some good soul food. But we do serve about 2,000 free meals to after-school kids by partnering with 2 nonprofit organizations. So our mission was not just to feed people, but to also have gatherings within the community where you all are able to handle your situations and your businesses, okay? And your personal things. Because what we felt like is if we open a business, which is this MBS Soul Food, we do have a nonprofit. The nonprofit was the one that helped us our goal was opening the Soul Food. And the only thing we want to be able to do is to give back to our community. And with you all being here, this is a part of our mission and our goal. We also open up our doors to the organization Melanated Pearl that comes in once a month to assist with the unhoused community as well. So there are a lot of different things that happen here in this particular location. But our main mission and goal is to build the community. And we do that through our youth. We provide athletic activities, educational activities, and also food. And so thank you all for being here. Again, my name is Nicole Smith. This is MBS Soul Food. The name of our nonprofit is MBS Building Communities Program. You can go to our website to look at all the various things that we're involved in, because we also give out free groceries once a month. Okay? So that's it.
And then she also have a community, also if you're youth or even yourself wants to volunteer, want to do something helpful, come and volunteer with the workers that she has here to get those meals together. She told you it's 2,000 meals she put together every day. Every day. Even during the breaks, their kids are being fed. So even if you have some kids that need volunteer hours or community hours because they got themselves in trouble, call MBS. She can hook them up, and me and her in partnership with Change for Hope, we could get them that community service. So it doesn't matter what county you in, you need to get the service, then we're here for you. Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
So before we about to close out, I'm giving us some time, at least 10 minutes, to do breakout sessions so you can talk individual to anybody that you need to.
I'm gonna bring Michael back up, in a few seconds here, but please sign in. If you signed in, we appreciate it. That information, not just for me, is gonna be for Michael as well, so that he can get the information to you as well. So I wanna try to hit you in so many ways of communication, so that you cannot say, I did not know. I don't like, I'm an educator, so I do not like when people tell me, I did not know. Okay, so I want to make sure that you're full of knowledge and understand where you need to go, who you need to talk to get your issues resolved. So again, also did let you know that I am an elected official for the Clayton County Soil and Water Conservation District Supervisor. So again, I'm committed to the community and what needs to be done and everything. So I'm gonna turn it back over to Michael. Come on in with your last remarks.
Yeah.
So that we can go ahead and close out so we can talk. And
So-
talk about your survey.
Yeah, so once again, please go to the watchproject.org to fill out that survey. It's going to be going to Senator Donzella James. It's going to be going to pretty much everyone on the Urban Affairs Committee, everyone on the HOA subcommittee. And lastly, when I started the Watch Project, I won my case. A lot of people thought I would be done. I'm on the HOA board doing the right thing right now. You couldn't have any documents. Any document you want, that's all accounted for. And then so many people were reaching out. Like I said, I'm not a lawyer. I got like 2 different jobs. I got a newborn. But that being stated, I wanted to embark on something that could help people, and one of those things was partnerships. And so one of the first partners we have is actually in attendance. His name is James Hardaway, and he is a certified fraud examiner. Many of you have questions about the financial viability of your HOA. And it may not be outright fraud, it may just be something super wasteful that needs to be looked into. And if the community doesn't know what's going on with the HOA bank account, that's an issue. So I'm gonna have him come up, speak about his offerings, and anyone coming through the Watch Project, he's offering a 50% discount on all his services. Just to give you an idea of how expensive this could be, I got a quote of $6,000, $8,000, and $11,000 to do a forensic HOA examination of all of our books and records. Needless to say, we don't have the money to do that right now, but he does have an affordable service. Like I said, he's offering 50% discount to anyone mentioning the Watch Project, so I'm gonna have them come up here.
Okay, and one second before,
Oh, sorry.
come on.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, when I said I reached out to everybody I can reach out to give y'all some answers, we have another representative here. And if she could come forth and introduce herself as well. So this is what I mean, we mean business. If you're serious about the situation that you're in, I'm serious. I'm gonna go find the people, I'm gonna knock them down and everything and twist their arm. I also prior military, so I'm not playing, so come on over here.
Hi everyone, thank you for making it out. Special shout out to Miss Lisa over here. Thank you everyone. I know that we're all experiencing different things. I represent Henry County, District 117, which is Mashana, West Oakland, and Luella. And I also live in an HOA, so I understand firsthand, and it's so important that you use your stories so that the people at the Capitol know that it's affecting real people, right? We get emails every day. We get slammed with emails. We get slammed with people trying to come see us. That's what y'all need to do about this, right? This is very important. You work the entire day to go home and relax. You put all your savings in that home for you to be living where people are making you feel like you're being harassed in your own home, to be honest. So one of the things that I'm doing is I'm working to support my colleagues. You know, it's a lot of us, nobody can pass anything alone. So I am supporting my colleagues that have several HOA bills, even in the Senate side. But I am also working closely with one of my, a few people that can help me draft another legislation, because we have to really try different ways to approach this big beast that has been ramping loosely for so long. So if you have any ideas, reach out to your representatives. That's the most powerful person that you have, because you put them there, right? So you start off saying, I'm your constituent and this is happening to me. Let them know that you hold the power to keep them or remove them from that seat, because that is what they're supposed to be doing. So thank you, just wanted to introduce myself and keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is James Hardaway. As Michael said, I'm from Rensselaer County. I watched Michael's 11 News pitch or 11 News piece about Watts, and I called him and I wanted to talk to him about representing his members and what's called pro se lawsuits. From what I've seen here and heard here today, 90% of people here have a lawsuit. Okay, I'm not a lawyer, I'm a forensic accountant. Have anyone here heard of pro se lawsuits? That's when you do it yourself. Have you heard of ChatGPT? Yeah. Okay. I've been using ChatGPT. I've got half a dozen lawsuits. I'm suing my HOA now. Okay, they haven't been doing a fraction of what you're doing. But there's a way that you can get the books and records. Anything, the voting, I heard about voting here, I heard about financials, I heard about retaliation, I heard about abuse. All of that can be sued for. Okay, we talked about laws and everything. There's something called codification of law, of cases. Okay, so if you get enough cases filed, and this is probably one of the easiest ways to get a law passed. When there's enough cases filed, what they do is get together and they codify it and it becomes a state law. Okay, so we talked about grassroots, we talked about pro se's. There's a way where you can sue. There's laws out there that's available already. That's one of the things I told Michael. There's HOA members are unaware of some of the legal tools that are available for them. And one of the major legal tools is that there's a law, state law, OCGA section 14-3-1602.
Let's slow down.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, slow me down anytime, because I got a lot to say and I want to be brief as I can, okay? 14-3-1602. Okay, and that's what I'll be representing for Michael's members. If they contact me, I'll be telling them to execute this law and have them have an independent reviewer, which will be me, come in and review the books and records. Now, this is not only books and records, which includes the general ledger. You might have them offer you with financial statements or summaries or disclosures, something. They have to give you anything that's relevant, okay? Voting records. I heard something here about the voting and the quorums and all that. Once you get all of that, okay, and I can go in there and do that, or you can get it yourself. Once you get all that, and if they don't give it to you, there's another law, 14-3-1604, that says you can get a court order to make them give that to you.
So, what, can you repeat that?
14-3-1604. So that court order will make them give that to you, plus they'll, if they're acting in bad faith, they'll pay your attorney fees and your court costs. Okay, so there's a word that begins with E that I use a lot. I'm also an arbitrator, and it was mentioned about arbitrating, and if that bill is passed, you go to the arbitrator. There's a word that we look at and begins with E, and it's called evidence. And what I've heard here, a lot of people here have a lot of evidence that once you get that and you go with before an arbitrator or a judge, they can't ignore that. They cannot ignore that. You got enough evidence, if you bring it to them, if you get it from these books and records or from executing these rules, these laws and everything, you get enough evidence, then you can have a court case. You win that court case, you get enough of these court cases, then a law can be passed, which is another way to get laws passed besides going to, to your representatives and getting that passed to that. Codification is another way of getting laws passed. Go ahead, sir.
You, Ms. Harper, you mentioned 14-3-604.
1604.
1604. However, we already have a derivatives action, which is already in Clayton County.
Sure.
We've already requested financial records and so forth. So we're hoping that the court will give us that. So at this point, we wouldn't need to go through you. So if we had contacted you before the derivative action, then we could have probably.
Yes, and an injunction is like any other thing. It's usually acted on fairly quickly by the courts, like you heard of temporary protective order. That's like an injunction.
TRO.
Yeah.
We had one, ours is 14 untold, since they put a TRO, one board member sued 3, and Pandora Palmer, Judge Pandora Palmer in Henry County, she just did the injunction or the TRO, and that was it. And so it made one person the HOA sole, she was listed on the Secretary of State's site. It's, president, vice president, and secretary, one person. And this has been, we're going into month 15. And she wasn't even the board president when she sued, I guess, the HOA board members. So it's like, we are paying for her lawsuit, and we can't afford to sue her. I mean, I think I may be one of the only people who has an attorney. And that's killing me.
Yeah, that's why pro se is so good. You pay the court fees and everything else. You go to ChatGPT, you put in your case and your records, and it'll spit out. I mean, I use it all the time now. Like I said, I got a half a dozen cases. One, like I said, I'm suing my HOA now, but I got a few other cases I'm working on.
One quick question for me. Because this judge did not respond, and now they're moving for, MSJ, motion for summary judgment. What is our relief and our recourse? I feel like I Google ChatGPT. I'm a court reporter, like I said, and I know some things a lot of other people don't. It says that the average TRO should be 10 to 14 days. 14 months.
Yeah.
14 months. So I said, and is this an option that you would recommend? I want to go to the JQC.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because everyone has someone they're accountable to. The judges, they get their little serfdoms and everything, they take them accountable. There's an escalation mechanism. You can go to ChatGPT and get that too. And I'm working on that now. I've got 5 letters that I'm going escalating, dealing with judges that did mistakes, judges that was wrong, and I'm escalated. And you take it up far from what I saw, and I could be correct on this, you can take it up to the governor. So everyone else on their report to. Okay, and I've been talking to the governor about a few things, just to give you one of the issues that I had with serving someone that's not serving someone as a registrant, and I tried to go to the state. Anyway, to make a long story short, I wound up taking it to the governor, and I talked to the Secretary of State, and the lawyer that was on the phone with Trump and the Secretary of State, I was dealing with him. That's as far as I got. So eventually, I got my way with them by going up to the governor's office. The governor's, they got a pretty good citizen help desk that help you deal with them. So even with these judges are accountable too. Everyone's accountable. JQC is one of the ways, but you can go past them. If they, I would JQC.
When you say JQC,
right. Well, I was JQC, and they turned me down on two instances. I went. Right now, I'm at the Supreme Court. Okay, so you can go as far. You go to JQC, then you go to another agency or another judge, Superior Court. If they don't answer, you go to the Supreme Court. And if they don't answer,
appellate court first.
No, appellate court.
Superior isn't it appellate?
No, not for JQC.
Oh wow.
Yeah, not for JQC. Matter of fact, I got a claim against the appellate court, appeals court. So I got 5 letters.
Court reports here.
Yeah, I do need depositions, but what you need to do is just escalate it, and then it might take some time, but I've been hearing that the political arena is getting ready to change by 2030. And if we've got a governor that wants to hold these judges accountable, then these judges are not, feel like they're untouchable. So if you start the lawsuits, it may take a while. If you're a pro se, you don't pay any lawyers fees.
I can say right now.
No, pro se is yourself, but you can have independent. See, it'll be easier if once somebody do investigation, it'll be easier if you don't have a lot. When I hear a lot of people have a lot, you might be able to do pro se yourself. I would recommend that. But if you just suspect it, it'd be easier if you have someone like me come in and do an independent review. So then it won't seem like you personal, but you gotta act in good faith. You gotta have a good purpose in order to
One thing I wanted to mention to you, yes, everybody is accountable to somebody else, and the system is set up like that, but the judges are out of control. They don't really report to anybody. Nobody is monitoring them. They just do whatever they want to do, period, and that has to change.
Yeah, well, stay tuned on that, because I am going to escalate it as far as I can. What I heard or what I read from ChatGPT, you can go to the governor, Could be wrong about that.
I called the state's attorney's office and the governor's office.
Yeah.
Regarding the TRO, Ms. Carolyn, if she wants to speak to it, I mean, it's coming up on a year, it's supposed to be 30 days, in her situation, there was some kind of weird intervention I'm not gonna go into, but she has been waiting almost a year with her condo situation where they illegally shut off the water. And 30 days is now almost a year, so the situation is really out of control.
Yeah. They can see, like you said, that's when you start. And if they don't act right, then you go to Superior Court. They don't go out, you go to Supreme Court. Okay. I just start Supreme Court, how long it's gonna take, but as long as you're doing something, you got an option, if you got, God gave us choices. Okay, as long as you have a choice.
We got another question.
What I wanna say, to confirm what you're saying, I was involved with a lawsuit, pro se, years ago, after fine, paying money to attorneys to get cases sought, and then they railroaded through us under the bus. It ended up that, being pro se, the case went all the way up to the Supreme Court because the judge at that time was the chief judge of the bankruptcy court. And after standing up to him, right, he recused himself from the case. When he saw that my husband and I, who was a Vietnam veteran, get up and stand and talk to this judge, call this judge racist from Alabama, he recused himself. They put a junior judge in to fight his teeth on the case, right? So they kept denying everything. Deny every motion. So it got to the point where I found a good paralegal, I think it was a district judge, that got it to the Supreme Court. But we fought it pretty much pro se, finding someone like yourself and doing case laws to find what established cases are already. Long story short, the trustee that they had assigned over the case is now living in Mexico, who had aspirations of being a federal judge. He should be in jail. But he's now living in Mexico. And sued the government.
Go ahead. I've got cars. Okay, well, all right, well, thank you, everyone. Like Michael said, I'm with him, he's got, my contact information. You can reach out to me directly or through Michael. I'm looking forward to working with him, and thank you again for inviting me here and taking a little time.
Thank you. So we have one more, Miss Funny is gonna come up. I thought it was funny too, cause I'm like, okay, yeah, your name is Funny, okay, so what's your real name? So,
well, listen, I said the same thing when I met Mr. Funny. What's your real name? But I want Miss Representative Santos to introduce herself. She didn't give you all her name.
Yeah, I was so excited to talk, but I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Mary Ann Santos.
Please do.
If you want to follow me, I'm on social media. My website is www.santos, SANTOS, FORGEORGIA, santosforgeorgia.com. Thank you.
Don't leave.
And I just wanted a couple seconds, guys, because he actually led me right into what I wanted to say. I am also the president of the Clayton County Federation of Democratic Women. And what you all also need to know, we need to write names down, because guess what? You elect your judges, okay? We have judges on the ballot this year. We have commissioners on the ballot. We have state representatives, state senators, they're all on the ballot. All the way up to federal, we have ASA is on the ballot. So what I want to say is, like, a lot of the things that we go through is because we don't have the time to actually go out and research the people that are running for office, but I am helping you with that. So if you follow the Clayton County Federation of Democratic Women, we're gonna have forums, interviews. There are over 200 people that are running. You're not voting for all of them. So you need to know, like, what district you live in, what that number is connected to a person. If you live like in District 13 federal, then that's connected to David Scott. He's on the ballot this year. So you need to know your numbers that on the federal level, on the state level, and for your school board, we have school board members that are running. And let's come together, and then you put the best person you think will do the job. And then if they don't do the job in 4 years, vote out. But that's what we don't do. A lot of times we just see the aye and we vote aye because we say we don't know anybody else. But I would say if you see a name and this has an aye by it, and that person has never reached out to you at any level, a mailer, an event, a town hall, vote for somebody else. Because that means that they're really just sitting there like, oh, I'm an incumbent, they're just gonna vote for me. And they're doing absolutely nothing, okay? So I have run for office, I've run against an incumbent. He started showing up when somebody ran against him, but before that, he didn't show up. So just think about that. You can follow us on Facebook, Clayton County Federation of Democratic Women. You can join, women can join, the men can join, but you don't have voting rights. But on, it is the Federation of Democratic Women. And this is a national organization. A lot of the counties, Henry County has a Federation of Democratic Women, but you can join ours if you want to. We will be hosting a vision party with a twist. No glue, no paper, no scissors. We're doing it with AI. So your vision board will be electronic. And it's on the 31st. It will be at the library, the headquarters library on Battle Creek at 11 o'clock. We would love to see you there. Members, non-members, come out. I have an expert AI gentleman that's going to walk us through everything. So we would love to see you, and please consider joining our organization. It's only $30 for the year.
Do you have to be a Clayton County resident?
No.
Okay.
I'm actually a member of 2, but you only have voting rights in 1. But if you want to have your voting rights here and also join Henry County, you can do both.
They do.
Yeah.
So at this time, I know we don't said a mouthful, we said a lot and everything, and I'm glad that you all are here. So I'm gonna have Miss Simmons to come forward. Please write this down. Please, please, please write this down. She's gonna give you the bills, numbers, so that you could go back and do your own research and everything. So go ahead.
Alright, you ready? I'm only write down the HB and the SB and the number. We'll have time to write down the type. It is HB 62, which is Georgia HOA Accountability and Community Empowerment Act. That's HB 62. We have HB 512, which is the Property Owners Association revisions. That's HB 512. We have SB 107, which is Specialized Land Transactions / Community Association Protections. That's SB 107. We have SB 108, Property Owners Association ADR and Good Standing. It's SB 108. We have SB 361, which is HOA / POA Lien and Administrative Process Revisions. That is SB 361. We have HB 303, which is Protections for Community Association Owners. So that is HB 303. We have HB 885, which is Community Association Transparency and Protection Act. That is HB 885. There's HB 427, which is Property Recording and Notice Requirements. It is HB 427. That is the one about your deeds, to make sure that nobody steals your deed. But it's important because there has been an HOA where they have tried to steal homeowners' deeds. So you need to be and know about your deeds. Michael was mentioning about the TRO. So my community, a bunch of homeowners, we got together, we filed a lawsuit on May 12th. We went to court on May 13th. We got a TRO on May 14th. An injunction is a hearing for an injunction is supposed to be handled within 30 days. We did not receive our hearing until June 18th. We attended the hearing, but Tangela Barrett, who is the head judge in Cobb County for Division 10, wanted to hear our case herself. We are now in January of 2026. On January 30th, we have a status hearing. We no longer have an attorney. So, more than likely, our case is going to get dismissed with prejudice. However, I am going to file a lawsuit pro se. It's already written. As soon as she dismisses, I will go ahead, everything will be loaded, and I will go ahead and submit that lawsuit by myself. Don't think that you can't do it, because as the gentleman said, ChatGPT, Claude, Manus, and any other AI is your friend. Only thing, check and see, make sure it has not hallucinated and given you something that does not exist. If you are looking for your documents for your community and your board tells you that you are not entitled to them, there is a case from 2005. It is Kalis versus Park Ridge, where Ms. Kalis was able to get all of the bank statements and everything else. The case is precedent. So if you provide that to the attorney, and the attorney in turn still tells you that you are not entitled to those documents, you can sue the attorney, as long as it's in writing, and the law firm, which then means that that law firm and that attorney cannot represent your HOA, because they are now parties to your lawsuit. If you have board members who are a part of an LLC that own multiple units in your community, you sue that board member and the LLC that they represent, and when you win, those liens go on all their properties, and you can collect whatever it is that you are awarded in court.
Yeah. Speaking of that, so she's right, so this is not usual, but when I sued the former board, they were so egregious that judges allow me to take their personal possessions as well. So, so it's the HOA and them as individuals as well. Yeah.
So this ends everything, but it doesn't mean that you have to go. If you want to talk to an individual, please do so, and continue to follow us on